Hello guys, in for my second hip operation this week, so fingers crossed all goes well, and I'll speak to you soon. Try to do some painting soon. Hello again everybody. Managed to get home safe after my operation for my second hip replacement, which has been just 15 weeks, and I've had both done. So onwards and upwards, and hopefully I'm going to be on my feet soon without the crutches, with some rehabilitation and things. One thing that's going to help me rehabilitate is my watercolour paintings, and that's really going to help my peace of mind, my state of mind, and everything else that goes with it, quality of life. So today, Lake District. So to start, I'm going to draft in the skyline, the distance, and just some of the hills and the valley that we're looking at, which is overlooking the Coniston area of the Lake District. This is going to be like a mountainscape with lots of light and distance and things like that, so let's hope we can capture it. Just in the foreground here, we have the most foremost of the hills. And again, let's just drop that in nicely. Around about here, we have another one of the hills, and then that's going to come down, right down, sort of like this, into here. On this hill, it sort of reveals a little bit of light, and I just want to indicate that there. This hill then follows on into the distance to create another hill just here, and then that one goes down as well, drops down into the valleys below, further down. Here there is more light hitting. Some light here as well. They're the main foreground and midground elements. And now we're going to start looking at the distance. Just nice and light indication here in the distance. And then further back in the distance is another hill range. This is getting nearer to the coast. And then things dissipate, really faded over there. Okay, so drop on a little water into the sky area, and I'm going to bring, as we've done before in previous watercolour sketches, I'm going to bring the water down a little bit just into the landmass in the distance, so that the sky and the distant lands almost merge around the horizon area. The sun is setting over here in the west, over the ocean, and spreading across east into the Cumbrian landscape. So we've got a little bit of warmth on this side, and then eventually that will dissipate and we'll go into a little bit more of the blue remnants of the day. The size of the paper today is probably the lowest I would possibly go in most instances, and it reflects probably the size of my sketchbook as well out in the field. I'll often use a small sketchbook like this and do drawings and things, and I've also got a small pad, watercolour pad, just for doing sketches out in the field, and I'll often use this kind of size and bring it back to do larger paintings from. I use it as a reference point. It's a nice warm wash just here. Bring this across, just nice and loose. Work it into there a little bit. Nice. We'll bring a little bit of it into the yellow. fades in, just here. Horizon line over here. Okay, that's the first pass of the sky. Again, let's let that dry, and we'll wait a moment. Then we're going to go in again, just with some little indications of clouds and things. Go in again now, just with a final pass to define just a few little clouds that we've got going on. We can do that just by a little trick. It's nice. Very delicate, nothing too much. One just here. Cadmium yellow down here. There we go. Faded into the distance. Okay, I'm happy with that sky. We're going to leave that to dry now, and we'll come back to that shortly. Down here I've got a very, very hazy, purpley colour, whereby the land is being affected by the sunlight, sort of coursing across the landscape from the distance. I'm just going to use that colour there as a body wash for the landmass that I'm going to put in shortly. Add a little bit more blue. Very faded. So I've just put in there some tonal colour just for the land, which will be right in the distance there, and we're now going to let that dry again, and we'll come back to that shortly, just with a little bit of work, not too much. Okay, I'm back. I just had to have a minute there and take my daily pills for the pain, but let's soldier on. Over here now, right over in the distance, just a few flecks of a very, very distant greeny blue. And over on this side, as you remember, this is the warmer side where the sun is setting over in the west. And on this side, it's a little bit cooler, where some of the daylight is still left, the remnants of the day. I'm now going to drop in this sort of mid-foreground mountain range just here down in this area here, which will help pop things forward in the mid-area of the actual picture. And things now are becoming a little more prominent in detail, but also prominent in tonal range and also prominent in the colour, as in the vibrancy. So we'll take that into account as we drop this one in. Taking into account just there, working around the line work that I put in earlier for the land where the sunlight is creeping through the hills and the valleys and managing to hit some of the tops of the hills and summits. Got some nice greeny blue colours in there using the French Ultramarine, as we know, and some of the sap green here and the cadmium yellow. 3 colours. And I will just drop in some elements of blue, elements of green, just to darken up there. Moving down into the valley. Get the edge of the hill there. Get the green, some nice green in there. Okay. Some of the edges. Okay, I'm going to leave that to dry and then we'll come back to that again in a few moments. Okay, I've let this area dry now, just here, and I'm going to work into this little area here, which is sort of like in the distance, probably, well, might be even a couple of miles away, you know, from where my viewpoint is at the top of the mountain range here in Coniston. A little bit of warmth going on in there, and then I'll just fuse it into that background there as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work just a little bit into here, just a slight little amount of detail. That's enough. And then we're going to be working on the most prominent sort of mountain here, which is in this shade as well. And we'll finish off with this one here, so not too much more to do. I'm going to drop in here the palest of warm washes, just to indicate there. Let that drop into there. Very, very pale sort of little wash, and we'll let him dry. While I'm doing that, I can now work a little bit of contour and texture into this mountainside here, not too much. You'll notice it works best when you go right to the edge of the hill where the light hits, which helps you to pull out that lighter area and create a little bit of shadow, and it adds in contrast, which gives you a little bit more definition. Okay, leave it at that. Same again here, just nice and light, nothing too elaborate, just follow the lines that I created with my pencil marks. And a touch of darkness up, right up on the top of the fell, on the top of that hill there. There we go. This area here is sort of, as I said before, is quite far in the distance, so I'm going to use a sort of a bluey green, but I'm going to use the ultramarine and just hit it with a little bit of the yellow, so I get sort of a not too bright a green, but it's got that little bit of blue in it, so it's quite distant. So over this area, I have a hill range. Okay, that'll do for that little area there, you know, sort of middle distance. Keep that that as is. We'll just come in here. Things are starting to come together quite nice. I'm enjoying that. It's good. It's good. It's nice to be back in the hills, as it were. Not really sat in the chair, but you know what I mean. I'm now going to work on this hill just here, which is really in the foreground, as it were, probably about half a mile away in true distance. We'll do that, and then we'll finish off with this one here, which is really in the foreground. It's the hill that I was standing on. We'll do that last. I'm just gonna hobble over to my little box. I need the crutches and get myself some more green. Ooh. That should do. That'll keep me going and last a while. Start at the top. Delicately just follow the edge of the pencil line that I did earlier. And wherever you put the paint, it'll act as the barrier, the gatekeeper, if you like, of where the paint will go and won't go any further. Because ultimately this is going to be one big wash. And this is my borderline, the fence of the painted area. Okay. Not too worried about the bottom bit, but and of course we did mention earlier, didn't we, that the mountain range, or this hill here, being so much closer, is more vibrant. So we will add a more vibrant colour, which means more yellow. And you can clearly see there straight away, adding that more yellow into this green mix, it's giving it that vibrancy, and it's coming forward. So to darken, to add in some tonal range, go back to the blue. Got a lot of blue over here. A lot of blue down this edge. Very dark down here. I'm going to bring some neutral tint in further down as we get really deep down into this bottom area, right down in the valley. Darkens down into the shade where the sun can't hit. Okay, we'll leave that as the first wash for now. There's a nice bit of vibrancy in there, and there's also some nice tone. I might just add a little bit of blue over here, a little bit more blue over here, and we'll let that dry. Okay, let's leave that for now. Starting to come together really nice. Nice range of blues and greens there, giving that distance feel, and the tonal range is looking well. And we've got a nice sort of perspective going on as right in the distance there as we're coming forward. The truly wonderful Fabriano paper leaves so many rich and happy accidents with the way that washes and colours go down. You can see this lushness of green and the little blues that are going on in here, which works so well for a mountain range and to give it that little bit of detail without actually putting too much detail in. That's just the beauty of the paper doing its job. I'm now going to work into this area here where the shaft of light is coming down. There's just a little bit of contour and some slight detail that's got to go in there to give it a little bit of form. It's nice. To get the intricacy just of some of those rock formations in the foreground and in the middle distance and far distance, I just use that slightly smaller brush and the fine tip just to fleck in some little contour lines and the rock formations. Okay, we're nearly there. The final task is basically just to now, where I've got the highlights on the mountain range just here and here, is just to add in the slightest bit of glow, and that'll just be another little bit of fleck of yellow, very, very pale, just to give the indication of warmth. And that will naturally put some warmth into the light that's hitting the mountainside. Just here, a little bit. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that. Let's recap. We started at the background there, didn't we, with the sky. We had a little bit of warmth coming in over here from the western sunset across the ocean there in the Irish Sea. Coming over, and it was a little bit blue, wasn't it, from the remnants of the day. And then right in the distance here, we've created that very, very distant feel, haven't we, with that soft, pastel-y mountain range that's the furthest back. Then we've come forward more and more with a little bit more depth, haven't we, and a little bit more vibrancy, until eventually we've come right here into the foreground with a little bit more vibrancy, even more so as well. And there is the Coniston range in watercolour. Hope you like that one. That one was a little bit tough for me today, you know, with the recent operation, but I got through it okay, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. A thoroughly beautiful place in the world is the English Lake District, and I'm going to enjoy going there again one day soon, hopefully, when I'm fully recovered from all these operations and things. Please leave comments below if you like, if you've got any questions or anything like that, and I'll see you on the next one. I hope your creative journey is going really well for you. Bye for now.